Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're turning our attention to something you interact with every single day, something pretty fundamental to your home and life. Furniture.
Yeah, things we definitely take for granted sometimes.
Exactly. We're so used to thinking about it just in terms of, is it functional? Does the color match the rug?
Right.
But what if furniture could be more? I mean, what if it could tell a story? Or maybe evolve with you? Or even connect you to hidden histories?
It sounds almost sci-fi, doesn't it? But it's actually happening now. We've got a stack of fascinating sources here that really dig into this incredible intersection of, well, traditional craft, modern tech like AI and robotics, and this really powerful, basic human need for narrative, all woven into the objects we sit on, work at, and live around every day.
Exactly. And our mission in this deep dive is really to pull apart these threads from the material you've given us. Yeah. We want to understand how this idea of digital craftsmanship is maybe not replacing, but sort of merging with age-old skills.
Right, augmenting them.
Yeah, augmenting. And how the very surfaces of furniture could become canvases for evolving stories. And also how tech, like augmented reality, is giving our furniture this kind of secret life you can unlock. So let's dive in.
Okay, so maybe it helps to look back a bit first, just briefly. For centuries, furniture was profoundly personal, wasn't it?
Totally. Each piece handcrafted, a reflection of the artisan's skill, their, deep understanding of the materials. You can really see the hand of the maker.
Think of those ornate carvings or unique joinery. It wasn't just furniture. It felt like a piece of art, maybe even history.
Then boom, the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
And that completely shifted the focus, didn't it? Efficiency, standardization, making things fast and scalable. That became the priority.
Yeah, and while that definitely made furniture more accessible to more people, which is good, it often stripped away that unique character, that connection to the maker, the story of the materials. But what the sources are calling digital craftsmanship, it seems like a contemporary response to that. It's not about rejecting technology at all. It's about using modern digital tools, AI, robotics included, to augment and reintegrate those traditional skills and values.
That feels like a really important distinction.
Yeah.
It's not replacing, it's enhancing. And underpinning this whole movement, the sources really highlight this. There's a growing demand from people, from you listening, for furniture that actually means something.
Right.
Beyond just being useful, you want pieces that resonate with your experiences, maybe your heritage, your emotions. You want furniture that tells your story or a story.
Absolutely. So based on the material we've got here, this deep dive is sort of structured around 4 key areas that bring this vision to life.
Okay.
First, how furniture is made differently through what they call hybrid production. Then this really cool concept of digital patina for surfaces.
Oh, intriguing.
Third, how augmented reality can unlock hidden layers of story. And finally, the role of AI in connecting sustainability with a deep cultural meaning or semantic value.
Okay, let's start with the making then, hybrid production techniques. The material points out a core challenge straight away. Traditional digital manufacturing, the CAM software stuff.
Yeah, CNC machines and the like.
It's fantastic for precise, repeatable tasks, mass production. But it really struggles with the kind of fluid, intuitive, sometimes wonderfully imprecise nature of hands-on craft.
Exactly. That feeling for the wood, the subtle pressure of a carving tool. How do you digitize intuition?
Good question.
This is where the sources introduce something called learning from demonstration, or LFD.
Okay.
So instead of rigidly programming every single tiny step, the robot learns by basically watching a human expert. It observes the movements, how they handle the tools, the subtle adjustments they make in real time.
So it's like teaching the robot the gesture or the style of a craftsman, not just a set of coordinates.
Precisely. And the sources give this fascinating case study in wood carving using actual hand tools, talking about using something called prompts, probabilistic movement primitives. It's a bit technical, but essentially it's a way to create a statistical model of those human carving movements. They capture them through kinesthetic teaching, literally guiding the robot's arm.
Okay, guiding the arm, got it.
And this model, this learned skill, is then exposed within standard design software like Rhino or Grasshopper, tools designers already use.
So, I'll see if I get this right. A designer or maker could draw a simple 2D line, say the outline of some decoration.
Right.
And this system, using these learned prompts, can automatically generate the incredibly complex, 6 degree of freedom toolpath needed for a robot to carve that design. but with the style it learned from the human.
That's the idea. The real insight here, I think, is that LFD helps build tools that can capture and replicate skill and intuition, not just automate repetitive actions. That
Yeah.
feels like the breakthrough.
Yeah, that's a big leap.
And it's not just about robots taking over completely. The sources also look at augmenting human manual work. Systems like augmented carpentry.
Augmented carpentry.
Yeah, using computer vision, basically teaching computers to see and sensors on the tools themselves.
Oh, like digital guide rails or something. Imagine you're using a saw or a drill.
Exactly. The system gives you real-time feedback. Maybe it's projected onto the material or on a screen nearby, showing you precisely where to cut or drill according to the digital design you've loaded.
So it integrates those traditional hands-on methods right into a digital workflow, but for better precision, making the human craftsperson even more accurate.
Precisely. And on the more automated side, the sources also detail fully automated CNC wood carving. Here, CAD designs get translated into G-code, which is the language that tells the motors exactly where to move.
And the precision is incredible, right?
Yeah, the source mentions something like plus or minus zero point 0.1 to 0.15 millimeters, and speeds around 500 RPM for the cutting tool. It definitely proves machines can achieve really intricate detail, driven directly from a digital model.
So, okay, beyond creating new things, these digital methods are also being used for preservation, which is interesting. The sources mention HCI-based 3D computer culture techniques. HCI is human-computer interaction.
Right, basically designing tech so people can work with it intuitively. And these techniques are used to digitize heritage wood carvings, old, precious pieces.
So scanning them in 3D?
Yeah, but it's more than just scanning. They analyze the 3D shape, the texture, all the little features to create these detailed virtual simulations.
Okay.
And the insight here is that this isn't just about making a pretty digital copy. It creates a scientific platform. By analyzing all this digital data, the exact shape, the tool marks, maybe even simulating stress points, researchers can get a much deeper understanding of the structure, the materials, the techniques, the history embedded in these old artifacts.
Like digital archaeology for furniture and carvings.
Kind of, yeah. And here's where the sustainability angle gets really clever, according to the sources. Computer vision is being used with raw, irregularly shaped wood.
You mean like pieces that normally get thrown out?
Exactly. Pieces that might have been discarded because they don't fit standard lumber sizes, they can be scanned.
Okay.
The computer vision system measures their unique shapes, however wiggly they are. Then a design can be adapted specifically for that piece, maximizing how much wood you use while keeping a large cross-section, which is often good for strength in timber construction.
That's smart. It turns waste into resources.
Right. It promotes sustainability. And the workflow involves like a database to track these unique pieces. The design gets adapted to fit. The machining is adjusted. Sometimes you even have to reposition the wood during cutting, all while keeping things accurate.
Wow. And we're also seeing robotics applied to sustainable timber construction itself.
Yeah. Using parametric design, where designs can easily adapt based on rules you set and robotic arms, they're digitizing and automating traditional joints, like the complex mortise and tenon joints you see in, say, traditional Chinese wooden architecture.
Oh, those intricate joints.
Exactly. So this preserves the knowledge of those traditional skills within a digital metamodel, but allows robots to fabricate them efficiently and precisely.
So you get the best of both worlds.
Kind of. It addresses modern challenges like improving material yield, reducing waste during cutting. It's a really nice blend of old craft values and new sustainable methods.
Okay, one last point on the making side before we move on. Adaptive robotic carving.
Yeah, this is pretty neat. The sources discuss methods that record not just the intended path for the tool, but also how the material actually responds during the carving process. What was the force, the vibration? What did the resulting carve actually look like?
Okay, collecting real-world data.
Exactly. And this data gets fed into data sets that train neural networks, computer systems that can learn from data, kind of like brains learn.
Right.
The network learns the relationship between the tool paths, the material properties, and the actual results. So the insight is, the robot learns not just the motion, but how the material behaves. It gets more nuanced, more informed.
It's like the robot is developing its own feel for the material over time.
Yeah, something like that, which is pretty amazing.
Okay, so if we can make furniture this way, blending digital precision with captured human skill, what about the surfaces themselves? This brings us to a truly novel concept from the material, digital patina.
Yeah, this one's cool. We all know natural patina, right? The way bronze turns green or wood darkens with age and use. It shows history.
Sure.
Digital patina is different. It's a digitally designed surface layer on furniture that is intended to change appearance over time, specifically to embed or reveal narratives.
Whoa, hang on. A digitally designed layer that changes on purpose.
Yeah. It extends the idea of natural aging into the digital realm, but with intentional storytelling built right in from the start.
That's kind of mind-bending. The furniture surface becomes a deliberate canvas that changes. And AI is central to this.
Yes, AI plays a big role. It can process all sorts of information, user-specific stuff like your personal milestones maybe, or even spatial context like temperature changes in the room or how often a certain spot is touched. AI then translates these inputs into stories, symbols, or patterns that are specifically designed to evolve on the surface over, minutes, hours, days, years. The key insight here is that furniture could move beyond being just a static object.
Becomes like a living diary of your life, etched onto the thing itself.
Exactly. Digital patina isn't just decoration, it's designing a surface specifically to reflect time passing or your personal journey right there on the object. It's a completely new way to think about material storytelling.
That allows for incredible personalization, doesn't it? Your coffee table could literally show a subtle pattern that grows and changes based on, I don't know, how many times you put your mug down in the same spot, or maybe mark anniversaries.
Right, anniversaries of significant events that happen around it. So how do they actually apply these narrative surfaces?
Good question. What did the sources say?
They mention a few techniques. Precise laser processing is one. You can engrave text, patterns, designs directly onto the surface. We know that.
Yeah, laser engraving is common.
But lasers can be controlled to do more. They can actually alter the material itself, maybe through controlled oxidation, making it look aged, or by removing just a tiny top layer.
So it mimics natural aging processes.
Yeah.
But it's deliberate, programmed, designed to reveal patterns or layers over time, like an intentional, slow reveal patina.
Exactly. Then there's layering with 3D printing. Additive manufacturing lets you create multi-layered structures, right? Different colors or materials stacked up. These layers can be strategically designed so they get revealed over time through normal wear and tear, or maybe even unlocked through some kind of user interaction.
Like a story uncovering itself bit by bit. A top layer might fade or wear down, exposing a hidden pattern or symbol underneath that represents, I don't know, a personal memory or a specific date you programmed in.
Yeah, and the design freedom of 3D printing also lets you create unique textures that could subtly convey narratives just through their form.
Okay, what else?
Finally, algorithmic design. This is used to create patterns that aren't static at all. They can dynamically adapt based on environmental conditions, light, temperature, maybe even air quality in the room.
Wow.
Or they can respond to user input like touch or proximity.
So this gives the surfaces a kind of life of their own, subtly revealing narratives through constant change. I'm picturing a wall panel that shifts color slightly as the sun moves across the room, telling a quiet story of the day.
Or a tabletop pattern that changes texture only when you place your hands on it. Little interactive moments.
Okay, so we've talked about making furniture differently, designing surfaces that tell stories. But how do we, the users, actually discover these hidden layers and narratives?
Good point. This brings us to augmented reality, or AR.
Right. AR.
AR has incredible potential here, moving beyond just the physical object we see, letting us interact with and reveal these hidden layers, cultural stories, production details, or even intensely personal ones.
It's like giving the furniture a digital memory or a voice you can access somehow. How does the tech actually connect the physical piece to these hidden narratives? What's the bridge?
Well, it usually relies on embedding discrete markers into the furniture itself. These could be small, almost invisible QR codes, maybe subtle visual patterns the AR app recognizes.
Or like NFC chips.
Yeah, or NFC chips embedded right within the material. When you scan it or just get close with an AR-enabled phone or tablet, the app overlays digital content that's relevant to that specific piece.
Okay, so what kind of stories can AR reveal? What examples did the sources give?
The production story is a really powerful one. Imagine you scan a chair, for example. You could instantly access videos or animations showing where the wood was sustainably sourced, maybe see the specific craftsperson carving the legs, or learn about the assembly techniques used.
That transparency.
Exactly. The insight here is that this transparency fosters a much deeper appreciation for the craftsmanship and the effort involved. It connects you directly to the people and processes behind the object you own.
That adds so much value beyond just the object itself. Okay, what other layers?
Cultural references. If a piece draws inspiration from, say, a specific historical period or a traditional craft technique from a certain region or maybe an artistic movement, AR can provide instant contextual information.
So you scan a table, and a little overlay pops up explaining, I don't know, the historical figures who might have used similar designs, or digging into the cultural meaning of a particular carved symbol.
Precisely. It adds these layers of intellectual and cultural value right onto the object.
And maybe the most powerful application the sources suggest is integrating your personal memories. This example really stuck with me.
The dining table one.
Yeah. Imagine scanning your dining table with an AR app, and instead of just seeing the tabletop, you could see this shimmering overlay of photos or videos taken right there at that table over the years. Birthdays, holidays, everyday moments.
That transforms the object into a personalized memory keeper, doesn't it? It's about linking your abstract digital memories, your photos, videos, audio clips, to the physical space and the physical objects where those memories were actually created.
That insight is pretty profound. AR turns a functional object into a physical anchor point for your digital life. It weaves your memories directly onto the place they happened.
Makes digital memories feel more tangible, more rooted.
Yeah. And while, a lot of current AR furniture apps are mostly about visualization, see this sofa in your room.
The try before you buy thing.
Exactly. But the underlying tech described here is clearly ripe for enabling these much richer storytelling features.
Definitely. Now let's try and connect these ideas to something really critical today: sustainability. The sources make a strong case that integrating local and sustainable materials isn't just, good for the planet. When you connect those materials to their cultural meanings, it enhances both the ecological value and the emotional resonance.
That makes sense. Materials aren't just functional stuff. They carry stories and meaning. The sources call it semantic value.
Yeah, think about a well-loved wooden table. The scratches, the dents, they tell a story of family dinners, right? Sustainable materials can carry their own story, like wood salvaged from an old barn, or maybe a quickly renewable local bamboo.
And AI helps here too, somehow.
Absolutely. AI can assist designers in selecting sustainable materials. It can analyze these huge databases on things like environmental impact, the full life cycle of the material, its potential for reuse, ethical sourcing practices.
So AI can instantly flag that, say, using reclaimed wood has a much lower carbon footprint than sourcing new timber from far away.
Or recommend bamboo as a rapidly renewable alternative based on specific project criteria. It gives designers data-driven ways to minimize the ecological footprint right from the start.
Okay. And what about the cultural meaning aspect?
Well, it's fascinating how local materials inherently carry cultural connotations, isn't it? Using wood or stone from a specific region connects the furniture piece to the aesthetic traditions, the available resources, the history of that place or community.
Right. Using wood from sustainably managed local forests.
Yeah.
It doesn't just support regional economies, it kind of imbues the furniture with a sense of place, an authenticity that can resonate really deeply. It tells a story of its origin, its roots.
And the sources highlight using these semantic values and local metaphors, embedding cultural symbols, maybe regional references like local plants or animals, to create a distinct identity for the furniture.
That makes sense. Embedding those cultural elements helps pieces resonate emotionally and culturally with the buyer, right?
Absolutely. And this can increase the perceived value of a piece. People are often willing to invest more in products that reflect their identity, connect them to their heritage, or tell a story that feels meaningful to them.
And AI can even assist with that, suggesting metaphors.
Potentially, yeah. The sources suggest AI could analyze cultural databases to identify relevant metaphors or symbols and then suggest design elements inspired by them. It's still emerging, but the potential is there.
Interesting.
And finally, on this point, storytelling itself is just a powerful tool for enhancing the emotional value of sustainable furniture. If you clearly communicate the narrative behind a piece, where the materials came from, how waste was reduced, the craftspeople involved, the community impact.
That creates a stronger emotional connection with the buyer.
Exactly. And that emotional connection is key, isn't it? Because it encourages longevity. You're less likely to just throw away a piece that tells a story you cherish.
Which contributes directly to a more sustainable consumption model, keep things longer.
Right. And AI could even help craft these narratives, maybe analyzing consumer preferences to understand which aspects of the story resonate most effectively with different people.
Okay, so looking at contemporary trends and where this might be heading, what are the sources saying?
Well, it seems clear that design is moving beyond just function and aesthetics. There's an intentional effort across the board, according to these materials, to embed stories, personal narratives, cultural significance into furniture. Consumers, you listening, are actively seeking pieces that resonate with your identity and values.
So designers are really embracing this role of storyteller now.
Yeah, it seems so. Using furniture as a physical medium to communicate ideas, evoke emotions, build connections. It could be as simple as naming pieces after people who inspired the design.
Or drawing deep inspiration from historical or cultural narrative.
Exactly. Or deliberately choosing materials with an inherent history, like salvaged timber, or using traditional joinery techniques that themselves tell a story of craft.
And digital craftsmanship is critical in enabling these new forms of narrative design, isn't it?
Absolutely. Techniques like 3D printing allow for these incredibly unique sculptural forms that can be inspired by abstract ideas or personal histories in a way traditional methods might struggle with.
And CNC machining allows for super intricate details, or even lets designers carve subtle patterns or those QR codes directly into the surface that link out to digital stories.
And algorithmic design, like we touched on with digital patina, opens the door for furniture that isn't static, but actually adapts and evolves, potentially reflecting the changing stories of its users or its environment over time. It's dynamic.
So looking ahead, what's the big picture?
The future seems to point towards a much greater emphasis on narrative, deep personalization, and a truly seamless integration of digital tech and traditional craft. Furniture is becoming more than just, objects that fill space.
They're becoming cherished artifacts.
Yeah, artifacts that embody both cutting-edge innovation and deeply personal stories, connecting people to their heritage, their memories, and their values in entirely new ways.
So to wrap things up then, what the material makes really clear is that furniture design is undergoing this pretty profound transformation. It's this incredible blend of digital craftsmanship working hand in hand with traditional skills, all enhanced by the power of AI and robotics.
And right at the heart of this transformation is the reintegration of narrative, of story. Integrating stories isn't just a nice feature. It's about creating objects that resonate on a much deeper level, emotionally, culturally, semantically.
Yeah, we've seen how hybrid production techniques can augment human skill and even capture intuition. We've looked at how digital patina adds these evolving, programmable narrative layers to surfaces.
Right, and how augmented reality can unlock hidden stories and weave in your personal memories directly onto the object.
And finally, how AI is supporting critical goals like sustainability while enhancing that semantic value through smart material choices and cultural connections.
So as we move forward, furniture won't just be something you buy and place in your home. It looks like it will increasingly become this dynamic medium for personal history, for cultural connection, and for technological expression.
It could be a bridge between your past, your present, maybe even hinting at your future story. So we'll leave you with this thought. What stories would your furniture tell if it could speak, or if you could unlock its hidden narratives? And thinking about these possibilities, how might the objects you choose for your home in the future reflect not just your style or your needs, but your unique story?
It's interesting, isn't it? Considering furniture as an artifact of both technology and narrative really invites us to think differently about the objects that surround us every day. They might be far more alive with meaning than we ever realized, just waiting for their stories to be told, or perhaps uncovered.